So finally, I can start. I wanted to give you a brief introduction to what is behind our strategy in this period. Um, as you know, I'm responsible for product management of the automation products, so it includes the distributed and the mainframe solution. And I think we are working to follow the most important market trends about automation. And this is actually a very important part of our strategy, as you will see from what we are doing. So let me just introduce the main concepts that are driving our strategy in these days. So first of all, we know that all customers, all organizations uh, have in their environment multiple kind of automation, and that is becoming more and more important for a number of reasons, including the, the need to get the best from your automation, from your tools, from your application. Only the automation can help you with that. So what happens is that this different kind of automation, I'm talking about workload automation is one of these kinds, but there are business process automation. Sorry. There is a data center automation, ERP applications automation, and so on. So many different kind of automation. And possibly each of these contexts is managed by a different tool. And that is not convenient. You get there's a kind of chaos around your IT environment. It's difficult to apply the same rules, to get the same governance, and so on. So it's important to um, find a way to avoid these islands of automation. So that we can help you with that, because what you need is to orchestrate most of your automation with a product that is able to interconnect all these processes and that is able to manage multiple platforms and connect all your IT environment. So this is becoming one of the most important trends. Avoid the islands of automation and being able to interconnect all your processes. Another point also that is very important is DevOps, of course, and also containers adoption. For the distributed platform, this is becoming the most important trend. It's much easier to manage applications that are containerized. But that is something that is a trend that is very important also for automation. So we need to be able to manage this kind of application. So I believe this is behind what we are doing this year and in the near future. Probably last year I was showing this slide to many customers, to many user groups and events where I joined. And the point, as you can see, is that workload automation has a lot of overlaps with other disciplines like business process management or data center automation and so on. Many customers are using workload automation, our product in particular, to also to manage business processes. But then there are all these different domains of automations. And our strategy, the strategy that I mentioned last year was we want to interconnect all these processes with our integrations. So we are investing a lot to produce new integrations with many different tools. And we want to allow you to manage all these processes through our product. And of course, provide a single point of control through our interfaces and a single point of governance and compliance for the whole processes. That includes, as you can see, many different disciplines, including cloud automation, or RPA, even RPA, that is a very important uh, topic in these days, you will see that we are starting to deliver integrations so that you can drive RPA products from our product. You can orchestrate them. So the new value proposition for our product is to be your enterprise automation hub. Uh, I will talk in a minute about the enterprise automation hub. In particular, it is a website. It is our marketplace for all the integration. And that is a very important component now of our strategy. So the value proposition of our product is always the same. We can orchestrate any kind of unattended processes, uh, especially on the mainframe side. Our product is able to manage millions of jobs per day within one installation and to be always available. We can provide through our dynamic workflow console a very important monitoring interface, especially with the new dashboards that we delivered in 9.5, and create the possibility to have the same kind of uh, monitoring capabilities on every kind of workload you want to manage through our product. Same goes for governance and compliance. Once you orchestrate or your everything from our product, you can apply the same kind of rules to all your workloads. We delivered 9.5 last year. It was in March 2019. Then we started to deliver new features on top of 9.5. We already delivered first fix pack was in NSPE on Z was in July last year. Then we did a new delivery in April this year, and we plan a new one for the end of this year. Then we start working probably on a new release that we plan for next year. So this is where we are. Now I would like to show you what are our latest deliveries. So a little recap of 9.5 and the main features we delivered in 2020. Uh, you will see that we are actually delivering a lot of new features, and even if some of them seem to be more on the distributed side, they are actually not, because currently what we are doing is that we are developing a common strategy, and we are delivering many features in an end-to-end fashion. So they are available for both platforms. So let's start with a quick recap of what we delivered in 9.5. We on the distributed side of the products, we reworked completely the infrastructure that's below the product, so that enabled us on one way to simplify the infrastructure that's behind the dynamic workload console server and the engine server, but also we were able to provide a containerized deployment of all these distributed components. And that is something that also mainframe customers can leverage, because of course the containerized version of the dynamic workload console and of the decentric agent that is available also for C customers. We also reworked a little bit the infrastructure of the dynamic workload console, so that's why we deliver new dashboards and a new look and feel for the product, as well as we delivered some specific enhancements that are for the mainframe solution. So the most important news on the console was about the dashboards. We delivered the new dashboards that are much easier to customize. So it's easy for a customer to build their own dashboards, including KPIs with and widgets that they believe are more important for their environment, to monitor their environment. Let me just remind you that it is very easy to define data sources for these widgets because you can save any plan query as data source. So once you define your filtered plan query, it's just a very easy step to make it a data source for a dashboard widget. Another important point is that you can include in your dashboards data from external sources. So any tool that provides REST APIs, you can use that as external data source, as well as you can include in the dashboard web pages and the text editor widgets. So that makes this dashboard much easier to customize. And I don't want to spoil my last slides, but you see that there are also uh, announcements that we are providing on top of these new dashboards by the end of this year. As I mentioned, since we reworked completely the infrastructure, just keep in mind that the new infrastructure for distributed platform requires Liberty instead of the whole web application server. And on the dynamic workload console side, we uh, removed the dependency from a couple of components that were just system and dash. So that we have a new look and feel, especially of the um, landing page. So it's customizable. You have pinned pages. You have monitoring query preview. We reviewed also the reporting part. So I think that there's been a good improvement on the usability of the dynamic workload console. Here are instead the most important uh, content of the pure mainframe part. We added an integration with another IBM tool that is called Common Data Provider that allows you to integrate the workload log data, so some information that you can customize to write to new logs from IZWS that includes um, events that would be logged in the JT logs or messages. You can customize, let's say, which content you would like to see in these logs. And then these logs, through the integration with the common data provider, can be uh, routed in real time to analytic engines like Splunk and Elasticsearch. So uh, that's an announcement that allows you to perform, to use your analytic engines also on the IZWS log data. That is particularly relevant for customers who are, in general, um, using their analytic engines also to analyze ZOS data. So if they are doing that, they may want to include also data from workload automation. Then we delivered a feature that allows you to optimize the submission of the workload. It's based on global policies, and they may be based on the usage of the critical path. So if you are using critical jobs and so on, you may decide to raise the priorities of the jobs that are in a critical network and delay a little bit the jobs that are less relevant. In general, this announcement allows you to, let's say, customize a little bit how the submission of the workload uh, is managed. So you can avoid peaks of submission, like when you start a batch window and all the jobs become ready at the same time. You can have a little process that allows you to prioritize the submission of the jobs that are more critical according to your critical jobs definitions. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is a policy that allows you to increase or decrease the number of jobs that the controller will submit in a certain amount of time, let's say, for example, in a minute. And that is also modifiable through commands. So you can kind of tune the submission rate, especially during your peaks of workload. So hopefully these features can help you to manage in a better way the submission of the workload. We also provided additional time specifications, particularly to allow you to define your own latest start time. Let's say if you know very well our product, you know that we have the concept of late jobs based on the latest start time that we actually calculated during the plan creation. But that time is based on a number of definitions that customers need to do accurately on the scheduler. So that if that does not happen, this latest start time may be not relevant for you. So we allow you to define it yourself, basically, and get messages or automatic actions if a job has not started by a certain time or has not completed by a certain time. So these new features allow you to customize in a better way, alerting around jobs and also automatic actions. Another improvement is coming, as I was mentioning before. Other improvements are coming from the distributed components. So we allow to install all these components on containers, and especially for the console and the agents, that can be also very useful for customers. Consider that when you use the containerized version of these components, basically you don't need to install them, but just to start the container with the image of that component included, and that is very easy when you want to do an upgrade up to a new fix pack or a new version of the product. Just what you need to do in this case, if you're using the containerized version, is just stop the container with the old version and start the container with the new version, and the upgrade will happen seamlessly. We also delivered some fix packs and SPEs in the meantime. So I mentioned July last year and April this year time frame. So let me give you some updates on that. For the dynamic workflow console, I mentioned the containerized version, but we also support with 9.5 and SPE or fix packs for the console to install it directly on the OS. So if you want to use it, install it directly on the OS, you can do it now, and you can do it, of course, prerequisite is Liberty on the OS, and you can even use DP2 on the OS for the dynamic workload console. We also plan in the near future, which means beginning of next year, to support containers on the OS. This is something relatively new that came probably the end of last year on the ZOS system, the possibility to support containers. If you have the ZCX extension, I believe it's called, and we plan to do it also for our console, at least, possibly also for the Z-centric agents. There might be scenarios in which it can be useful to install it with container on the OS. So that should help us about the need, to go to other departments to use the console, or because it's a distributed component. Well, now you can install it on the OS. And I think I heard from many customers a lot of interest on this. We probably still need to enhance a little bit a few functions, because of course the console was not designed to be installed directly on the OS. So a few things about security maybe improved a little bit, also communication with the server and so on. That is something we will continue to enhance in the future, but right now you can install the dynamic workflow console on the OS with Liberty. And by the way, you don't have to pay for Liberty support for the console, because we have an agreement. It's a supported program. So if the part that you use Liberty for the dynamic workflow console, it's for free for you if you have IZWS licenses. So that's another important information. And of course, DB2 Since it's very relevant to us, the strategy of the plugins, the integrations, and they are also very important for Z customers. By the way, there are many Z customers that are very interested to our new plugins. We also introduced the automatic deployment for the integration plugins. So we are delivering lots of new integrations, and the way you can start using these plugins has been simplified a lot. You just need to download the plugin in a specific folder of the dynamic workflow console. Actually, of one of its components is the Z connector. And the first time your decentric agents need to submit a job of that kind, of that type, the plugin will be automatically deployed to the agent. So that is a very relevant step to simplify your life to use integration, or in general to simplify the access to these integrations for mainframe customers. Another important point was the integration with ZOE. ZOE is an open source tool that is particularly supported by IBM. And this tool helps you to have an access to mainframe data in a kind of cloud fashion way. So you have an easy access, especially for your developers or people who might not be so skilled about on the mainframe. They can have a similar access as any other cloud platform. And ZOE provides APIs, provides command line and a desktop also. So since you know that, probably you know that our product is available standalone, but also as part of the automation suite for Z that includes our product, includes NetView and system automation, and also a component that is a common user interface for these three products. That is, it's called SMU, system managed. Well, I don't know exactly. I don't remember exactly the acronym and what it means, but it's a common UI with some views that are common to the three products. So that part is already integrated in the ZOE desktop, and we have integrated our product. There's a plugin that you can download for IZWS with the ZOE command line, and we are doing the same with the APIs. So we allow our customers that want to use the ZOE open source tool to access also our product and perform any kind of action with our product through that interface. A couple of other comments. These are still for distributed components, but since you may use those components in your end-to-end environment also from the mainframe, it's important to know that We also leverage Kubernetes for our containerized distributed components. So we are already certified for Red Hat OpenShift, and we provide also support for Amazon EKS, and uh, want to extend that support also to the other main cloud provider, Kubernetes environment. So you can use Kubernetes to deploy server, agent, and console. And that also, of course, includes the dynamic workflow console and the decentric agent. So if you want to deploy your dynamic workflow console or your decentric agents through Kubernetes, we are already supporting Red Hat OpenShift and Amazon, and we'll support very soon also Azure and Google Cloud providers. Another couple of announcements that are more mainframe related. Specifically, we provided the possibility to specify the job class to force the execution of a job on a specific LPAR on a predefined class through our interface. These are new global parameters. And also, I think another important innovation is that we introduced a feature to send automatically emails from when something occurs on the controller. So there are some of the usual alerting conditions that you can specify and customize how this will create an email for a list of recipients. In this way, rather than getting a message, you can decide to customize the product to send an email when there are specific conditions. Typical conditions are job that end in error or late resources that are not available and um, are blocking at the start of a job, task abandoning. There are a number of monitoring, let's say, alert that can be used to trigger an email. Okay, so let me go now to what we call the automation hub. So first of all, we decided to invest a lot of new integrations. We already had a number of plugins, but now it's becoming more important to us. Now we have already available more than 65 plugins. So what is the automation hub? It's what we call it the marketplace of our integration. I'm not sure if it's correct to consider it a marketplace because we don't sell the integrations. I mean, all the plugins that are published here and are developed by IBM and HCL are out of the box. That means that you don't have to pay any extra money for that. They are included in your standard licenses. So if you certainly you need decentric agents because most of these applications are distributed, but if you own that license, you don't need to pay extra money to get this integration. So these are out of the box. I will show you in a moment a list of many new integrations that we have published. Then this website will include also other kind of integrations, not only plugins, job plugins, but also even actions, and that's more for the distributed, but templates or other, for example, the Zoe plugin is also available here. So any collateral, let's say, to the product, plugin, templates, actions will be published on this website. The plugins are not physically on the website. So when you select one that you want to download, you will be routed to the IBM website. In this case, it's going to be Fix Central because these are distributed components. So where you get all the fix packs and so on, you also download from there your plugins. Another point is that on this website, of course, each plugin has a description, some scenarios, if available, link to videos to how to use the integration. And besides that, we also publish here our development toolkit. So you can also decide to write your own integration if it's something very specific to your environment. So you can cooperate directly writing your own integration, and you can decide to keep it for yourself or publish also for other users. So it's this kind of uh, also open source approach, if you wish. It's also possible for our business partners to contribute, and in that case, they might sell them. So if a business partner creates an integration and he wants to publish it here, then you will be routed to their websites where you will have all the information if you have to buy it or not, or whatever is needed to use it. But all the integrations that we published that are developed by IBM and HCL are out of the box for you. We are releasing new plugins very often, like every month or so, because we use a continuous delivery approach on this new integration. We have a dedicated team that is developing these integrations. For your knowledge, these are just a few of the new ones we delivered this year. So we deliver a number of them each quarter in different areas. So, for example, I was mentioning RPA before. We already have published a plugin for Automation Anywhere, as well as one for Blue Prism, and we have in plan another one for WDG that is a new an RPA tool that has been acquired by IBM, so will be probably quite important in a very short time. We have published new plugins in the cloud management area, a Kubernetes plugin to submit and track Kubernetes jobs, so containerized applications, plugins that allow you to use some cloud services like serverless automation with AWS Lambda to automate, orchestrate data center automation, in particular Ansible. Ansible is an open source from that is also from Red Hat, and many customers are using Ansible to perform data center automation or other similar tasks. And we have an integration, so you can actually submit and track those tasks from our interface and perhaps connect them to a more complex workflow where you have also other resources to manage and connect to that kind of workflow. So the basically the value of orchestrating many different automation tasks through our product is to be able to connect them and to have the same kind of control that you have normally on any job you submit. Just a reminder of what is needed for you to use these integrations. I just want to be clear. You're a mainframe customer. You can use all of these integration. What you need is to use the dynamic workflow console because most of these jobs are defined in an XML style, and it's a nightmare to do it by hand, while the dynamic workflow console provides you with a simple user interface for each of these job types. So you just need to provide the parameters. It's a very simple approach, and I would suggest to use that rather than trying to write your own JCLs by hand. Another point is that you obviously need a decentric agent. for using this integration. So that's all you need. You need an end-to-end environment with a dynamic work console and decentric agents. Then, if you wish, you can also install a dynamic domain manager if you want to use, rather than single agents connected to the controller, pools of agents that are connected through the dynamic domain manager. But that's not mandatory. So all these integrations, you just need the dynamic work console and decentric agents. That's all you need. Last comment on RPA. RPA is becoming more and more important for many organizations. So sometimes they talk about RPA as if it was, you know, all the automation you need, but of course it's not true. Robotic process automation is able to automate some specific kind of tasks that are mostly requiring human interaction. So it's a way to automate some processes that were used to be manual. Here I'm listing some of the most popular RPA tools like Automation Anywhere, Blue Prism, UiPath. Workload automation can help you to automate all these tasks and connect them, providing the same kind of auditing, regulatory compliance, and also providing the usual features that you have for the other jobs in the product, like SLA management through critical jobs and so on. So you can use any feature because at the end of the days, these are just normal jobs for the product. But it's very effective to use these tools integrated with an orchestration tool like workload automation. We have already delivered plugins for Automation Anywhere and Blue Prism, and we plan, as I mentioned, to publish also plugin next year for WDG and UiPath that are other very important tools. Now we'd like to take maybe just 5 minutes to talk about the future. This strategic evolution of the product. I mean, cloud-powered, because even if you're on the mainframe, you will still need to be connected with cloud environments. Intelligent, you will see why, because we plan to include the new features that are based on AI and machine learning. And user-centered, because we plan to improve always the user interface and make it at the center of your environment. In general, we believe that to make the mainframe more relevant in this new decade, it's important to connect it to the other applications, to connect it to any external environment. So what we are doing to help you with that is to provide an easy way to connect it with the rest of your applications. And that is where we are providing REST APIs to do that. We are providing integration with Zoe. Our dynamic workload console is being enhanced more and more to help also mainframe customers. We want to provide self-service automation. So these are a central point of our strategy. And also the integration, it's a central point of our strategy, because we know that many customers want to control their distributed application from the mainframe platform. And our product certainly gives that possibility. A quick look at the roadmap. As you can see, we delivered 9.502 in April, so that's both for distributed mainframe with a fixed pack and an SPE on the mainframe. We are planning a new delivery at the end of this year, December. There will be a couple of slides dedicated. Well, there will be at least one slide dedicated to a preview for the optimized file transfer operations. So that's an important topic for this year and next year, file transfer. More integrations and some specific RFEs. I'm not giving you so many details, but for example, we are on the mainframe in particular, we are providing announcements on the what if facility. There are some Z customers that are using it with some troubles from a performance point of view. So we are trying to address that, as well as some announcements in the area of, let's say, how we connect dependencies when dependency is created. So basically, we want to allow you to use a global option so that when you specify an input at arrival time at the operation level, that will not be used to decide how dependencies are connected in the plan. So that's kind of more very detailed, that perhaps sounds complicated, but probably who is, you know, used to schedule workload through our product knows very well what I'm talking about. What we plan to deliver next year, a new release, might be a release, a version 10 rather than 9.6. That's not been decided yet, and it is only, let's say, something that is relevant for the marketing, but it's not really different for you, because there is no change in your contracts if we deliver a version 10 rather than a version 9.x. So there's no real difference about that. We want to deliver some features that are powered by artificial intelligence, machine learning. We want to provide a feature to use our agent, in your case, decentric agents, to implement file transfer capabilities. So not only FTP protocols, but also native managed file transfers through our agents, new enhancements for the mainframe part, and a renew of the modeling part on the user interface. Quickly, this is what we plan to deliver. We are delivering this year in December. These are specific enhancements for the file transfer plugin. So the file transfer plugin is already available. It uses supports a number of protocols like FTP, SSH, SSH, SFTP, and so on. There's a list of them. And we are going to provide, first of all, a dedicated dashboard for file transfer operation, and also some new views where you can see the details of the monitoring of the file transfer execution with information like number of transferred bytes, the transfer rate, completion time estimate. But the plugin will have also important enhancements, because you will be able to perform multiple file transfer in the same job at the same time, to restart the transfer just of one of these files from the point of failure, to use other plugins to encrypt, to do encryption at rest. So while the job, after the job has arrived or before sending it. I already mentioned the run from the point of failure, and some options that are for post-processing, like rename the file after receiving it or sending it, delete it or move it. So lots of different capabilities that basically provide managed file transfer on this plugin. Last, outlook for the next release, scenarios that will be enhanced with AI and machine learning. In particular, we want to, for next year, we want to provide anomaly detection and identification of patterns. So being able to let you know in advance when when there is an anomaly in the execution of your workload. So if something is going differently, from historical patterns, and we will provide components that include machine learning algorithms to do that. So I think this is my last slide, and we have a few minutes for question and answers.
Thank you, Marco. I will unmute everybody and allow people to unmute themselves. So if anyone has any questions, you should be able to unmute yourself. It appears that no one has any questions. If something has gone wrong and you do have a question and you can't unmute yourself, then please put it in the chat and I will repeat it.
Okay, also in case you have questions, but you don't have time and you right now you want to send me an email, you can do that. I think I may add to the presentation that will be downloaded on the GSA site website also my email in case you have need for new information on this.
Marco, are you just uploading the slides you showed, or will you be uploading this entire presentation?
I will do this today, so in a few hours it will be available.
Yeah, but will it be this whole presentation? You didn't show every slide. Will it be every slide, or just
yes
you showed? Yeah,
I think I showed every slide.
You did.
I may have to remove only the pure roadmap slide, which is just one that is confidential.
Yeah, of course.
But all the rest will be available.
Okay. I've had no questions from me from Tim Perkins, but thanks for the presentation with some very interesting features coming.
Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this presentation. Of course, this is very high level. There is also presentation from Domenico Dalterio later today with some more details on some of these features. And in general, please contact me if you have any special need or need more information on some of these features. And please consider that we are investing still a lot on all these all the products that are part of our workload automation suite, including the mainframe part, which is still a very important part of our strategy.
Okay, well, if there's nothing else, then we can wrap up. Thank you, Marco, for your time, and I'm sure people will be coming with questions when they think of them.
Okay, okay, certainly. So thank you all for your time and have a nice day.